Hello everyone! Today we are painting a little sleeping Appa in a field scene. It's going to be one of the nails in the entire set. We already have 5 painted. If you want to see what those look like before the videos are released, I have them up on my Instagram. So we did the sky with 3 different colors, and with short slapping motions we blended them together for a messy ombre look. And now I've prepared myself 3 different greens on my palette, and right now I'm applying the lightest color of green. Now I'm going in with my medium shade and carving out where I want my medium tones to be. Just making sure that it's nice and saturated enough for me to work with and kind of blend out a little bit. Ooh, my camera fell out of focus. Right now, all I'm just doing is kind of blending the harsh edge ever so slightly out a little bit. And now I'm taking some of the lightest green color and I'm just dragging it down the smallest amount so I can define some of the grass blades a little bit in this darker zone. And now I'm taking my darkest color and I'm adding the deepest area of the grass. And now, once again, I'm just kind of dragging up the paint with the tip of my brush to make little grass pieces. And since that lightest green is already cured, I'm just adding a little line of products that I can work with to do the same thing and drag up on the grass. Alright, now I've taken the lightest color of green and I'm making little individual blades of grass. Just the smallest amount of paint on the tip of my brush. I'm swiping them in semi-random directions. It's as if some of the other colors are peeking through in between the dark grass. Gracious, my camera really liked to focus on my thumb instead of my nail. Alright, and now I'm taking the medium tone and just dragging up. Once again, making a little bit of just some variation in the color of the grass. And then up here, I'm taking small amounts, very, very small amounts of the darkest color, and just adding some variation once again. And now I'm adding some white little dots to be like little clover blooms or little flowers. And now some fluffy little clouds. I just load a little bit onto my brush and then I dab it around into whatever little cloud shape that I think looks cloudy. And now we're going to be moving on to Appa. We're doing a nice, long, squat oval for the top part of his head. In white, in this instance. It's a nice clear day, so he's not going to have a cast of light, of colored light on him. He's just taking a little nappy nap in the nice field on a nice day. And now for Appa's body. I'm starting off fairly close to the shape that we've made for his head. And then as I get closer to the top, it gets wider and wider until we scoop down at the very end of the oval we've made so we can make the curve of his back. Now we're moving on to his little tootsies that are curled in a little bit. Hi, Minnie. Really? Alright, now we're just making a little bit of definition between each leg, just so that I can get a gauge of have I made the space large enough before we fill it in. Alright, now we have the little base blob of Appa. We're going to start adding in a little bit of outlines and details. Alright, now I'm taking just a nice light gray color. I'm outlining the shape of the top of his head here. So that white above it is going to be his back and arm. And now with that same light gray, I'm going to be making the bottom part of his head. Gotta clean it up a little bit. Mistakes happen. Alright, now with a nice dark black, I'm gonna give him his little fingernails. And then with the residuals, I'm gonna make that bottom part of his face more clean. My lines weren't as crisp as I wanted, so I was just cleaning up a little bit. And now let's give him the rest of his little nails. And define his legs a little bit with what's left over on the brush. Alright, now we're going to make his little bison horns. And with a gray color, a nice darker gray color. I'm going to swipe up on his head, fairly equal distance from each other. Alright, and now we're going to take a little bit of almost a medium mahogany brown, and we're going to make the little arrow on top of his head. I'm not using very much paint on the tip of my brush currently, so that's why it's not very defined. I'm going to go over it again, but I wanted to make sure that I could actually fit an arrow there easy. Now I'm just going through and marking out his other little markings. And let's give Appa a little nose. Really, Minnie Moo? Yeah? I'm adding a little bit of a shadow. In that second little portion of the head we made. And adding a little bit of a shadow in between each little leg. Let's darken up that arrow now. And now I'm adding a nice light gray to the areas that he would be shaded by either his own big self or by perhaps a little cloud. It's going to be in between each leg, a little bit on his head that's not facing the sun, and a little bit on his back as well. Alright, and now we're going to move on to a big old stone that he's sleeping by. So I have 3 shades of gray laid out, and I'm taking the medium gray, which is still pretty light, and I'm making the big outline of the rock. I wanted to have some kind of longer pillars as well as some smaller, chunkier rocks. And the great thing about painting nature, like things like rocks, or like trees, or anything, is that it doesn't have to be perfect. Nothing in nature is absolutely pristinely perfect. So however you make it is absolutely good enough. Right now I'm taking a very small amount of my darkest gray. I'm kind of defining where how do I describe it? I'm defining the shapes of the rock, but I'm doing that by determining where the light is, and then whatever the farthest point on each individual rock is, I'm making a line of that dark color. I hope that made sense. And then I take that color and I blur it out a little bit, and I turn it into from a line of dark color to an L of dark color, like a capital L. But it tapers on the leg of the L. And that helps kind of give it more of a 3-dimensional shape. At least I think so. I'm just cleaning up some of my blurring if it got too dark in areas. And now I'm taking my lighter shade of gray again and just kind of defining. And now I'm taking the lightest shade of the gray that I laid out, which looks pretty white in all honesty. And I'm outlining the exact opposite of what we did earlier for the dark line. And I spread it across the top instead of the bottom. And I just kind of blur it out, and that's going to be where the sun is hitting the strongest. Alright, and now I'm taking the smallest amount of black on the tip of my brush, the smallest amount of black, and I'm creating a shadow. So I'll place down the small bead of black, and then I'll smoosh it around until it's fairly opaque, and also, smoosh it in the directions that the shadows would be going. So all underneath Appa here, and then of course, big old rock. If you're enjoying the video, please considering liking and subscribing and leaving a comment, all that stuff that the YouTubers say. So we're gonna go back in with our medium gray and just kind of squiggle in some littler rocks in the area. These can be any shape you want. I made one of them fairly curved, top smooth stone, and then I made the other one curved in one point and then kind of jaggedy on the other. I'm taking my darkest shade of gray, and once again I'm just defining the portion of the rock that's the farthest, the shadow. And now I'm taking that lightest gray and I'm defining the lightest part, the highlight of the rock. And then again I'll take the black and put a little dot underneath each rock and make the little shadow for the rocks. And I feel like it adds just enough little something going on. And here we are, Appa taking a little nappy nap in the sun by a big old rock. One of my air nomad nails. I hope you enjoyed. Send me a picture if you painted along, and I hope you all have a really wonderful night.